Hello everyone, it's the Social Club. We're back for the final time this week. We're going to be talking Manchester United. Flav's here, Ped's here, I'm here, and Mark Anthony is in the comments and he says, isn't it too early to call this just like last season with Man City after only a good couple of games? Yes, Man United. Man United, 2-4-0 wins. Clearly title in the bag already, Flav.
Yeah.
We might as well all pack up and go home.
Mate, they are looking good, but
Yeah.
as he says, Man City last year looked unstoppable. I remember Chelsea under Ancelotti, I think, went 9 on the bounce, and again looked unstoppable. And they didn't win the league that year, I think. So, yeah, look, it's way too early. They have beaten 2 teams that expect to finish mid-table and below, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, and if you can do that impressively in the Premier League against any team, you've got to stand up and say, look, you've got to be taken seriously, even if it is 2 games in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what we kind of said before doing these shows, Ped, is that I think there's a lot of sensationalism that's happening around footy at the moment, and I think Sky and BT are absolutely desperate to push the narrative that every game, good or bad, is the most important thing that's ever happened in anyone's lives. Man United have been sensational. Man United should be sensational. And look, Man United fans, fair play to them, they should be enjoying what they're watching at the moment.
Yeah, they're 2-4-0 wins, and I think what's promising for them is that they almost feel like a little bit un-Mourinho in a way. They're a little bit like let off the leash a little bit.
You talked about letting the horses run free or letting the ducks fly or something.
Yeah,
For sure, though.
they feel like a very well balanced side now, and Matic and Lukaku with almost like the final pieces. Even though I still think, they can improve defensively, and so it's a good start. It's what you'd expect. You've got to wait till, I suppose, around October time. Maybe a few bigger games turn up and see what the squad is like once they get into that Champions League mix.
It's whether as well, Mourinho, because we talked about this when we talked about Spurs and Chelsea in the last video, about like the games where he shuts down or he comes up against big opposition and he normally just goes, I'll have a draw here all day, and if we nick it, great. It's whether when you've shown you can batter teams, whether he's going to be able to tell that team, we're not doing that this week. We're gonna sit in and play compact, and they should be able to because he has his teams very well drilled. But there's that, and also the fact that if you start to draw a couple of those big games, do you keep the fans on side? Probably, but these are all things that he's gonna have to balance as the season goes on, I guess.
Well, they've got Leicester this weekend, which will be a tough game. Leicester are all, have proven themselves to be a very tough side and have got goals in them, and I think that'll be the first real test of the season. But I think you look at the team and you talk about being defensive there. I don't know how they can be defensive. They are very much set up to be an attacking side. They can be a good counter-attacking side, I suppose. That's a way they can be defensive. But I think they've only got really one way of playing as such. I don't mean that in only one style. They've got many styles, but I don't think they're going to be a team that are going to sit in against anyone because I just don't think they've got the kind of players you can do that.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But like we say, Mourinho has got it in him to play free-flowing attacking footy. We saw that with the first really good season at Chelsea. But I don't think that would, you say, is a style that typifies Mourinho. I got the impression a little bit from that game because he's talking about letting them run free or whatever. But he kind of says normally we kind of shut down at this, but I let them go. I wonder whether there is just a case of I think the players probably just did that more than necessarily have instructed them to do it.
I think that Mourinho is an amazing manager at getting the most out of the tools that he has at his disposal, and
provided he's got amazing tools.
Exactly, yeah. So if he doesn't, then he finds a way of getting the most out of them, and whatever that might be, whether it be winning the league, finishing 4th, 5th, and winning a cup like he did with Man United last year. I think he bought players that are essentially free up and allow Pogba to be the player that everyone knows he is. Matic was an amazing signing, albeit not very exciting one. Lindelof looks like he's going to be a player for the future because he hasn't really featured much in the first 2 games. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see. It would be an interesting thing if United go out and attack the league, and Mourinho tries to win this league through attacking prowess rather than kind of pragmatic kind of working your way through every result. If they can go out and blow teams away like West Ham and Swansea on a regular and then pick up a hard grinding 1-0 win against Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever, then you might well see them crowned champions at the end of the year.
I think it's. I mean, from a Man United perspective, Ped, I've got it here. Man United I've scored 4 or more goals in their opening 2 league games of the season for the first time in 110 years. So look, Man United fans have every reason to be excited with what they're seeing so far, because they've had a few seasons, and listen, cry me a fucking river, but they've had a few seasons of not being very Man United. You know, so there's probably a real weight off, I guess, for their shoulders to be able to see them back to being a bit dominant in football matches and actually sticking the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, when you think about how many games they drew last season at home and how many games they didn't score in, you know, the fans have been crying out for for what they're seeing at the moment. And I think you just look at the team and the way it's set up and the way it's got Mkhitaryan in and it's got Mata in. And
well, I want to mention Mkhitaryan. We've got Callum Rafford here says Mkhitaryan shite, nearly 30, waste of a player, which I completely disagree with.
He's absolutely sensational footballer. Yeah. He's so underrated. No, I wouldn't think he's underrated by Manchester United fans, but by other fans, he's so. And it's funny you saying it about bringing a player in you haven't seen much. Mkhitaryan benefited last season from not playing many games at the beginning and being allowed to bed in.
He was managed very well
to the culture of Man United. A lot of people thinking, well, they bought this player and they don't know what to do with him and they've written him off. No, he just allowed them to settle in and not be, you know, undone by the trappings of being a big signing at a big club. He was allowed to bed in, come in, and you've seen little bits of him, then he dropped them out. And I just think he's absolutely sensational. He's so intelligent, knows when to run, knows when not to run, and gives them just that something else. Because everyone in that front line just wants to run forward, but he's the kind of player who just goes, no, I'll just wait behind, and the ball will fall into me. He reminds me of sort of, in a way,
Yossi Benayoun, yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. He reminds me a little bit of Sheringham, whereas he used to say, well, I'll create the space by not moving. Yeah. Everyone else moves, and I'll just stand in the place I'm standing. His late runs are absolutely fantastic, and he just gives them something a little bit different.
For a long time, it was difficult for me to see what the benefit of Dele Alli and Eriksen at Tottenham until someone explained to me what they do off the ball. And finding an attacking space pulls defenders completely out of shape and allows other players to come in and take advantage of it. And often you'll do tireless work off the ball that won't be seen by supporters and pundits, or pundits should be there to see it. And then you think, well, what's he done during the whole game? But actually he's doing tireless work for the benefit of the team and others. I think ultimately if a manager like Mourinho picks him or brings him on, it's because he has value. And just to say shit and a waste of a player is madness.
No, I know. And here's the things, well, we're not even talking about like Juan Mata. Who'd have thought, you know, given it looked like Mourinho didn't like him at all. All the jokes when he rocked up at Man United, Mourinho, Mata's just gone, just bought a house. Yeah. I'm going to have to move again. I've just got the stuff out of boxes finally. But again, you know, he's got these players and he's getting a tune out of them. And the thing about it is you've even got Martial as well banging on the door. You know, he's coming off the bench and scoring goals, looking a threat. Barely talked about Rashford as well. You know, as another young lad who's being handled really well.
I love him.
Very, very dangerous. He's such a good player.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say he's such a good manager. He's Mourinho. He just, I suppose, when he knows the time's over, he just cuts them. Doesn't matter who they are. He doesn't really care who he sells them to. Yeah. But when this, and I like that about Matt. I like the fact that it looked like it was all over, but he played well. And by playing well and helping that transitional period, Mourinho's found a position for him, and I think that's really encouraging. It's the Vince McMahon style of doing things, isn't it? It doesn't matter if we've fallen out in the past. Yeah. If I've got a job,
it's good for business.
Yeah, if it's good for business, if it's good, if we've got a job for you, you'll do it. And I think that's again really encouraging if you're a Manchester United.
Is that Vince McMahon related to Steve McMahon there by any chance?
Not really, no.
Vince McMahon.
There's a rumour that Danny Rose is going to be going to Man United as well, which is...
Yeah, but he started it.
Yes, started by him, that's it.
Sorry, there's other rumours other than that one. On top of the one that he
Man United shirt.
Yeah, you're completely right. He did start it, but there are other rumours, and I think if they sign him, they've got. If Mourinho doesn't win the league with that team, then that's crazy.
I think we'll come to Ross for some comments in a minute. I want some thoughts on Mkhitaryan and what have you. But Lucas Sand says, and I think he sums it up lovely. Man United went unbeaten until they played City last season and then went into meltdown. You can only judge their title credibility once the Champions League starts, and they have 3 games in a week.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. Ross, what have you got for us?
Josh Dickinson says, do you think Man United defence is good enough to win the league?
I mean, Man United's defence, I don't think is the issue, is it? I think Man United, by and large, I think they were okay last season. Again, Man United fans will know better and let us know what you think in regards to your defence. But I guess we'll see how Lindelof settles.
They had one of the better defences last year.
Exactly. I mean, I think there's probably still a lot of people who think that Phil Jones is a joke. But again, Mourinho brought him back in. He pulls mad faces, but it's easy.
There's
to
a lot
forget.
funny about him, but he's not a joke as a footballer.
It's easy to forget, I think, isn't it, how hot a prospect he was when he moved from Blackburn. A lot of clubs wanted him, and there's a reason why he's still at Man United, and it's not just by proxy, because we've just said Mourinho's not arsed. He'll bin off anyone who he thinks isn't good enough. What do you reckon, Ped? Is he good enough defensively?
Yeah, it's just his injury record has been pretty poor. It probably his own fault. Puts himself in silly positions where he tends to get it.
It's mainly just facially,
Yeah,
though, isn't it? Like,
diving headers while the ball's on the floor. And
he's
things
trying to
like
lick
that.
your own ear.
He's
He's
a good
defending,
player.
probably not good.
I don't think he's ever. I think he's suffered from not having a true position as well, and there
Yes.
always seems to be maybe a better player than him in his given position. So maybe if he just stuck to one position, otherwise he'll just become the next Phil Neville.
Amazing. So he won't be signing for you in about 2 seasons.
Club captain.
Right.
United People's TV says, when will people start backtracking on Pogba and admit he was a bargain for 89 million?
What? Tell Sam.
Shut up, Sam.
Fuck off, mate. You're on holiday, mate. Just stay on holiday. What are you doing on here?
Jack W says, Zlatan to United to return, good or bad?
Amazing.
That's a good thing, that, isn't
Amazing.
it?
What was the question?
He's
already beaten up punch bags.
I saw that.
Which is mad.
To test his knee. It can only be a good thing.
That's how you test it.
I don't think, Man United squad's not made worse for having Zlatan in it. But
But what do you do? Do you drop Lukaku for him once he gets fit?
No, of course.
But he's not going to stand for not playing.
I know, but of course he is. Well, no, he's
He'll
not.
kick people in the head.
You're only getting him for what you're going to get him back in January playing realistically. Maybe before that, because he's a bit of a superhuman freak, isn't he? Yeah. But then Lukaku's banging in goals, isn't he? It just means that you bring him in and you swap out games. We've talked about Champions League already. I would be upset if I was like Anthony Martial if he come back in after all this, because he's probably going to continue to look really good. Will he get the opportunity to play centrally? That might be the issue. But just lastly on Sam's thing, no one's going to admit that Pogba was a bargain ever. Although the Neymar thing might start to skew these things a bit. But I think, look, Paul Pogba's going to be amazing this season. I think you're already seeing like that finish against Swansea, like the impudence that he's being let loose a bit more, isn't he? I've got him down for player of the year.
I don't know if anyone ever said that it wasn't a good buy.
You said he was
No, I just said he was shite
year.
last season.
Yeah.
I stand by that. He was crap last season. Don't care what anyone says. For 90 million quid, he was crap last season. But for this season, what they've done is he's bought Matic in next to him, and it'll let him free. But what it's basically saying is that he's not good enough on his own. He needs someone else to help him.
Well,
Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, fine.
Sam, if you're watching, what do you think of that? You know, you've got Ped's phone number, but stick it in the WhatsApp. Stick it in the WhatsApp. One more, Ross.
Cloud says, if Martial is his first season in form, can he push United to win the league?
I'm very much of the opinion, if you want to be a team right up there at the top, you don't rely on one player in the attacking positions, and this is maybe where Spurs might come a cropper again to some extent, but Liverpool obviously haven't got across that line in recent years. It's the only experience I have of it, though. The closest we've come is when you've got like 13-14, Suarez misses the start of the season, but Daniel Sturridge is there in good form, and he ticks us over with goals until Suarez comes back. You've got to be able to have someone who can carry that burden, and that's the thing about United is Martial, I think, is good enough to lead the line for them. I think he's good enough to play centre forward in the Premier League. I think I love Martial. I love Liverpool to have him. Like having someone like that who's that good, who effectively is just basically coming off the bench for 15 minutes. Yeah. That could be the difference between Man United. Because I don't think they had enough of that last season. It was too Zlatan heavy, really, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable. And that's the thing, and everyone's right, it is far too early. And I think hopefully what we've tried to highlight over the 3 shows this week is that don't try not to get sucked into the sensationalism of it all too much, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, unless you're getting twatted by everyone every week and your manager's getting sacked and all this stuff's happened, these games don't really mean too much. you know, you're right. When the Champions League kicks on, that's when we're going to.
Well, Huddersfield fans think they're going to win the league now, don't they?
One thing I would say about all three things we've talked about is almost like the need to. People are still hungry for new players and it all to settle down, and I think this is one reason why the transfer window needs to shut before this, because I think that it puts half of this stuff to bed.
Yeah.
Where you're worried about players still coming and going. Whereas at least if the window shuts a couple of days before or the day before, it puts that all to bed. Everyone settles down and we start talking about real things rather than sensationalising them. So that because the minute you start sensationalising, then that's what comes out of it. Well, we need to buy him or we need to sell him, and if we can put all that to bed, I think all that will go away.
Yeah, I completely agree on that, and I think that's probably something we'll do around the closing of the transfer window, because obviously it came out last week, didn't it? And we'll see how that all goes down. But if you've got thoughts on anything we've discussed, please do let us know them in the comments below. Of course, if you're watching this after the fact, I want you to subscribe to Toffee TV if you haven't done so already. Listen to the Fighting Cock podcast, and don't forget to check out Talking Balls every Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday on the YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, I've got a channel as well, Mates TV. Subscribe to that as well. That'd be amazing. I'm about 19,000 subs now, which would be a belter if we could get across that. And
I get sub 10,000 views every week. So come and watch.
do that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to Ball Street as well. Nearly at 60k. Get on, give Flav a reason to smile. And we'll be back with more Social Club Live next week. Cheers.